Hi, second graders. Today we're going to do a unit inventory about a trip across Texas. And so right here we have our huge map of Texas. And you're going to travel to different cities in Texas. And we have our globe. A globe with our United States on here. If I can get it to move around. So we have our North America, and we have the United States, and there's Texas right there. And we start with Texas. We're going to start in Austin. Here's our capital. Austin is the capital of Texas. There's the governor, Greg Abbott, who may live there. Also a book about governors and what their jobs are, where they are in charge of the whole state. And then we have other people who sit on the board of Texas. And then we have different landforms in Texas, such as this river, as Lake Travis. And then we have El Paso. El Paso is another part of another city in Texas. If we look at our map of Texas, El Paso is right there. It's on the border. Here's Mexico, and here's Texas. It's right there on the border of Mexico and Texas. So these are some of the places that you might see in El Paso. See, it has some mountains a little bit. Has different football, soccer teams, and then you have the Rio Grande River that runs through El Paso. This again is just showing you it's the border between Mexico and Texas. And these are some things, body of waters that you may see in El Paso. Some more body of water. And then different landforms you may also see in El Paso, which are valleys and canyons and mountains. Okay, then we're going to stop by we're going to take a look at the phases of the moon, because we do learn about the phases of the moon when we talk about El Paso. We talk about all the different kinds of phases of the moon. And here's our model of phases of the moon if you see the moon. These are also different phases of the moon. And then we also will examine rocks, and this is our next lab next week, is we're going to look at some rocks. We're going to look for different types of rocks. We're going to look at what rocks can be made out of, and we're going to talk about the properties of rocks. These are all different kinds of rocks. And we can also talk about Texas fossils, all kinds of fossils that they find in Texas and where they're located at. Kind of an interesting book. And then we'll talk about different kinds of weather. We'll talk about how to measure some weather. We'll talk about clouds. And we'll talk about the different types of seasons. And then we'll talk about natural resources also. Like plants, the sun, the wind, water are all natural resources. And we'll talk about Dallas. And Dallas is actually all the way on top over here. This is where Dallas is located on our map. And Dallas has a lot of football teams and basketball teams. Then we also talk about Houston. We'll also talk about the coast, the Gulf Coast also. So there's Houston. This is where Houston is located on the map. And see how it's close to the Gulf of Mexico. Some more sports teams that you might find in Houston. That's the Bay Area that's close to Houston. And this is, we'll talk about the the Gulf Coast plains. You also talk about the rivers that you'll see that's coming from the Gulf of Mexico. And then you'll talk about how seawater and freshwater interact. And they turn into marshes and swamps. Okay, friends, that is our unit inventory. Those are all the things that you're going to learn about. So make sure you guys write down any questions you might have about our unit inventory and things that you are interested in. All right, we'll see you later. Bye, friends.